Very good morning to you all. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to today's DrayTek product briefing. I'm Alex Shuka, CTO at DrayTek UK in Ireland, and joining me today is Lukasz Waligorski, one of our DrayTek product specialists, who will be your main presenter for this session. As a product specialist, Lukasz is one of the first to get his hands on the engineering sample, so he gets to play with our new products and explore their features and functionality. This makes him well placed to tell you about the subject of our product briefing today, our new 2.5 gig Ethernet Dual-WAN VPN Concentrator and router, the Vigor 2962.
Thank you, Alex. My name is Lukasz Waligorski. I'm product specialist at DrayTek UK in Ireland, and my everyday job is to test and evaluate existing and new DrayTek products, the software and new features. I'd like to welcome you to this product briefing about the Vigor 2962 series, our latest Dual-WAN Ethernet router and VPN concentrator. This high-performance appliance supports up to 200 VPN tunnels for LAN to LAN and teleworker connections. On the agenda today, we have the Vigor 2962 product overview, its key features and product range. Then the router characteristics will be covered in details, and that will be then followed by live demo. We will conclude with a question and answer session where we'll answer your questions. Okay, so let's talk about the Vigor 2962 router. Its outstanding performance of over 2 gigabits per second throughput and 300,000 sessions is a great solution for managed offices, hotels, and any location connected to fast fiber broadband. With advanced routing protocols such as BGP and OSPF, it can be used by ISPs. And the Vigor 2962 is a capable VPN concentrator, allowing remote access for working from home so that remote workers can get the local resources. The Vigor 2962 is a direct replacement of the 2960 series. It can easily outperform its older brother with the total maximum firewall throughput of up to 2.2 gigabits per second. That's 2.5 times the 2960 performance. The IPsec VPN performance has also improved. It is 1.5 times faster. With hardware acceleration enabled, Vigor 2962 can handle up to 900 megabits per second IPsec throughput and over 600 megabits per second for the DrayTek SSL VPN tunnels. That's more than double the speed available on 2960 routers. And here's the front panel of the Vigor 2962. Starting from left, it comes with the usual reset button and LED indicators. Then we can see the interfaces. Notice that its first 4 ports are switchable. Look at the numbers, 2, 3, and 4 are pointing at the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet interface, SFP/Ethernet, that's number 3, and the 2 1 gigabit Ethernet ports, that's number 4. Each of them can be set as LAN or WAN interface. The remaining ports are gigabit Ethernet for LAN purposes only. The router also comes with 2 USB ports, version 2 and 3.0. Now let's talk about the key features available on Vigor 2962. This high-performance dual Ethernet WAN router features VPN, advanced routing, firewall, content filtering, bandwidth management, and more. It offers high throughput with load balancing and failover connectivity. The Vigor 2962 is suitable for fiber to the premises, gigabit and above internet connections. It can handle up to 2.2 gigabits per second total maximum firewall throughput. Use this dual-WAN router to connect to your main broadband and add an extra backup for failover purposes, such as your extra FTTP connection. Then use it for your guests or staff LAN network. The extra capability of the Vigor 2962 means it's well placed to support the evolving bandwidth demands for business. For example, businesses with a dedicated lease line might have a 1 gigabit primary circuit, and then they may have utilized a 80 megabits per second fiber to the cabinet connection. Now, with the availability of fiber to the premises, with connections typically 300 megabits per second and upwards, businesses who upgrade will find that the Vigor 2962 can offer raw throughput requirements to meet the combined demands of the primary and secondary broadband connections. With 2 dedicated LAN ports and 3 flexible LAN WAN ports, the Vigor 2962 can connect up to 5 devices directly with a single Ethernet WAN, or 4 devices with Dual-WAN configurations. Up to 20 LAN subnets can be managed by this appliance. Segmenting your network has never been easier for management, business, guests, or latency-sensitive devices such as IP phones. You can create up to 200 fast and secure IPsec VPN tunnels concurrently with the Vigor 2962. Up to 50 users can connect using DrayTek's SSL VPN, and even more with other VPN protocols. This is an ideal router to connect up multiple sites and home offices. It provides access to remote desktop, file sharing, and internal services by the securely encrypted VPN tunnel for seamless access to network resources and devices. The Vigor 2962 router comes with switchable LAN/WAN ports, including the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, gigabit SFP, and gigabit Ethernet interfaces. The 2.5 gigabit Ethernet and SFP may be used for either LAN or WAN. This allows you to connect the Vigor 2962 across fiber or connect up devices with higher than gigabit throughput, such as a NICE storage or a server or a wireless access point. With the quality of service and bandwidth control, latency-sensitive applications and VoIP phone calls can be prioritized with ease. AppQoS makes it significantly quicker to set up quality of service. Just select the services or applications that you want to prioritize, such as Skype or Zoom. If you have more devices or more sites to monitor, try our DrayTek Vigor ACS management platform. Vigor 2962 and other DrayTek routers, switches, and access points are compatible with this tool that can save you time and money while providing a convenient way to provision, manage, and monitor your remote sites. Upgrading the firmware, changing configuration, getting reports about your network has never been easier. The Vigor 2962 can also manage up to 50 DrayTek wireless access points and up to 20 Vigor switches connected locally. This enables you to centrally control, manage, and administer multiple access points and switches installed around your building from just a single router. Now let's have a look at the example here. Here's a complex network where multiple subnets should be configured on the Vigor switches and access points. You can see there is a VLAN 40, VLAN 30, and VLAN 20 to be configured on networking devices. DrayTek router can provision its VLAN settings to the local DrayTek devices. With a matter of a few clicks, your switches and access point can be configured, saving you time and a hassle of connecting to every device manually. So you can then monitor, apply new configuration, or even reboot your network equipment directly through the 2962 router. Now let's have a look at the product range. The DrayTek Vigor 2962 is located in the high-performance VPN gateway market segment, along with the well-known 3900s, 2960s, and 2952 routers. As you can see, I have highlighted our old Linux-based Vigor 3900 and Vigor 2960 routers, both of which are now end of life. The Vigor 3910 has superseded 3900 series, and the Vigor 2962 series replaced the 2960 model. The 2952 and 2960 are still okay with the maximum firewall capabilities of 500 megabits per second. However, for more challenging projects, go for the 2962 series or our flagship 9 gigabits per second Vigor 3910 series router. The Vigor 3900, as mentioned earlier, was superseded by our current flagship Vigor 3910, which comes with the switchable Ethernet and SFP plus 10 gigabit interfaces, and with a great firewall performance of almost 10 gig too. Improved VPN throughput and DrayOS operating system makes it an ideal upgrade option. Now that the Vigor 2960 is also end of life, we have released the 2962 router. Its impressive maximum firewall throughput of up to 2.2 gigabits per second can be a good upgrade option for the older 2952 and our Linux-based 2960s and even the 3900 routers. The Vigor 2962 is a Dual-WAN load balancer. It's faster, comes with flexible ports like the 3910 series, and offers a great VPN performance of up to 900 megabits per second. This comparison table gives you more details such as number of available interfaces, NAT throughput, and the VPN performance. Notice that the 2952 and 2960 come with 2 fixed WAN and 4 fixed LAN interfaces. Only the latest models, such as the 2962 and 3910, come with switchable interfaces. You can also see the level of pricing for each of the products listed here. Now let's have a look at other important features. The 2962 router comes with the firewall and content filtering. This allows you to control access to websites that each of your LAN users can or cannot reach. This feature helps you to restrict web access and block downloads with options to set up blacklist or whitelist and stop users from reaching wasteful or harmful content on the internet. Available setup restricts can be applied per user, universally or per PC, with extensive scheduling options configured through the firewall profiles. The route policy feature is handy for networks with 2 or more internet connections. If traffic needs to be sent out through a specific interface, set this up in the matter of a few clicks. Now let's have a look at the diagram on the right-hand side where new packets are being sent from local users. There are 3 route policy profiles configured on the router. First, addresses VoIP traffic. If matched, router should use 1.1 interface. Second is defined with a source IP of, let's say, LAN 2 IP range of 192.168.2.0/24. If matched, packets coming from this subnet will be sent through router's 1.2 interface. And the third profile tells the router to send data packets that came from a specific device. Here, it is known as 192.168.1.10 IP address. This device will have its packets routed through one of the VPN interfaces. Finally, if none of the above criteria are matched, packets will be delivered according to the router's load balancing pool. 1.1 or 1.2 interface will be selected. I will cover the configuration of this useful feature in our live demo session. The next feature worth mentioning is high availability, used for automated hardware failover. So ensure there is a constant uptime regardless of conditions. The Vigor 2962 can be configured in high availability mode. Two devices of the same type are needed to configure a primary and a secondary router. Should the primary go offline for any reason, the backup router will take over the internet and VPN connections to continue providing connectivity without manual intervention. This allows you to remove the risk of a single point of failure within the network design. Hotspot Web Portal. This feature is very useful for sites where end users connect to the internet through your wireless access points. If you have ever wondered how to collect the details such as a phone number, email address, social media account, or just simply produce them with the terms and conditions before they use your network, DrayTek's Hotspot Web Portal is a free built-in solution. Each user can be presented with a welcome page that can include your logo, background image, etc. And then they can be asked for the authentication method. The router can send them a unique PIN code by sending a text message to their phone, or they can authenticate using their Google or Facebook account. Some new routers can also send an email with the login details. Now let's move on to the next feature, the DrayTek VPN Matcher. Connecting a VPN between two locations normally requires that one or both sites are accessible directly from the internet. This can sometimes work from behind another router if the VPN is passed through NAT. But when one or both sites are using connections like mobile broadband 4G LTE or are behind carrier-grade NAT, it may become impossible to connect to a VPN. With DrayTek's VPN Matcher service, DrayTek routers connected through NAT, be it carrier-grade NAT or LTE, can connect LAN-to-LAN VPN tunnels where otherwise they couldn't. Tile-in teleworkers can also connect to a router behind NAT with the DrayTek Smart VPN client. This and many other features are available on new routers free of charge. No license is required. Now I'm going to present the live setup of the Vigor 2962 router. Here's a screenshot taken from the 2962 router. For those familiar with our Linux range, you can notice many similarities. The setup and management should be straightforward with this intuitive graphic user interface. Here we can see the dashboard, and this is your main place where most of the settings are grouped together on one page. The top section illustrates current status of physical interfaces of the router. you can see that some of the ports are green. This indicates the full 1 gigabit connection. If there is amber, it's probably an old device that can handle 10 or 100 megabits per second Ethernet connection. Below is the system information with the model name, firmware version, system uptime, and other details useful for troubleshooting and monitoring. Quick access on the right lists most popular features, very handy for easy access. And finally, on the left-hand side, there's our main menu with all the options ready to be checked and configured. If you want to access one of our live demo routers, go to draytek.co.uk/support/live-web-demo website. I don't have time to show you all the features, but I'm going to demonstrate how to set up a root policy and how useful this feature is for multi-WAN devices. So now let me open my browser so that I can access our Vigor 2962 router. Here it is. So here's our dashboard again. And note that there are 2 WAN connections available so that we can manage how the traffic is being routed and which of the interfaces is used. So let's open the routing section and then load balance root policy page. There are some profiles already created. I would like to demonstrate how the first profile is configured. The device called PC1 will use only 1-2 connection. Let's open index 1. As you can see, it's enabled already here, and we can put a meaningful comment for the profile. So what I want to achieve here is that PC1 should use 1-2 interface only. So for any protocol PC1 is using, and the source IP of PC1 is defined below here as well. So I have selected an IP object, and then the PC1 is defined there as well. Here's the IP address 192.168.123.45. Any destination and any service the computer wants to use, it doesn't matter for us. So any of that traffic from this computer should go through a specified WAN or LAN interface. So we have selected 1-2 here. You can choose any of the other interfaces or even a VPN. And if it's required, a failover option is also available. So I have selected my 1-1 just in case. Know that you can create more root policy rules and you can prioritize each of them. So you can select which one has lower or higher priority as well. Now let's hit the diagnose button. What I'm going to test here, I'm going to test that root policy that is configured on the router. We're going to use a single packet mode, and the packet is using any protocol, and it's going to come from the IP address of our PC1 computer. So that was 192.168.123.45, and we're going to hit Google's DNS server 8.8.8.8. So once I hit the analyze button, I would expect the router to use root policy number 1 here. So the traffic will be then sent through 1-2 interface. So let's have a look. Yes, that's happening. So as you can see, root policy 1 will be has matched the criteria, and the packet will leave our 1-2 interface. I would like to thank you for your attention, and that concludes the core of my presentation. Let me just summarize with some pricing and availability details. The information available here includes the SKU code, the EAN, stock availability, and SRP. I have also added details of our flagship Vigor 3910 router that has been on the market for a while. Now it's time for our Q&A session. Over to Alex.
Thank you, Lukasz. Thank you very much for your presentation. Hopefully everyone found that useful. It's good to pack in quite a lot into the time. It's also difficult to know how much technical detail we can go into. So on that, do let us know any feedback you have about if you want more technical information, going into more detail, or more of the live demos with additional stuff on the setup. We're just kind of giving a taste and a bit of a preview of the interface there, but there's space for us potentially to do other webinars as well that go into the full technical stuff on that. So we're really keen on your feedback on if that's something that would be of interest to you. So moving on to the Q&A, I've got various questions that have been answered asked during the presentation, so we've been trying to get back to everyone on that over the text, but I've picked out a few of these so that we can just cover them over the audio. And also, if you've got any questions, please continue to type those in. We've got people on hand to respond to directly, and if anyone wants to ask a question over the audio, you can put your hand up if you want to, and we can, if we've got time, we could potentially take a question over the audio. First, let's just go to some of the questions. The first question I've got is about the maximum number of ports that can be set. Lukasz covered that there's 4 ports that can be set as WAN interface, but the question is, what's the maximum number of ports that can be active at any one time on the WAN side?
So that's a good question. It's a Dual-WAN router, so you can have up to 2 active WAN interfaces. So only or exactly 2 internet connections can be run simultaneously at the same time. So number 2 is the answer really here.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Lukasz. And if you need more than that, then I think the 3910 is quite well placed because it's got more interfaces that you can set. So you can have more interfaces on the 3910 side. Next question is about related to installations. Actually, the question is, can the 2962 be rack mounted?
Yes, currently every single DrayTek UK router can be, or most of them at least, business class can be rack mounted, including this one. And it actually should come with the brackets already in the box, so nothing to worry, just get the product out of the box, put some screws in, and it's ready to go.
Good, thank you. Also, a useful tip on that is it can also be mounted on a wall. You can rotate the wings on it by 90 degrees so that you can then mount it on a flat surface as well. That's sometimes useful for installs in some offices as well. It's good to have that flexibility. Thank you, Lukasz. So another question is on the topic of VPN support. Question is, does it support Open VPN on the 2962?
That's a good question as well, Alex. OpenVPN is obviously one of the many VPN protocols our routers support, and the 2960 is not an exception here. So you can have OpenVPN, and as far as I know, it should support both directions, and many of our new routers will have that option as well available.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Lukasz. I've got a question about the webinar now. So it's about whether or not the recording will be available, and the answer, I think I can cover that. The answer to that is yes. We will have a recording of this available. Should be later this week that we'll post it on this site, so you'll be able to point everyone to it. If you've got any colleagues who weren't able to attend, or if you missed the beginning, then there'll be a recording of that you can watch and run through. So hopefully that'll be useful for everyone. Next question is about different variants. So questions asked if there is a PoE version, because we did have a PoE version of the 2960, and the question is, will there be a PoE version of the 2962 in the future?
So we had a PoE version of the 2952 to be precise.
Sorry, yes.
And the 2962P option is available in some other countries. As far as I know, there are plans for the 2962p model here as well in the UK and Ireland. We haven't announced the schedule on this yet, but it will follow latest this year.
Okay, thank you, Lukasz. And a question on the interfaces. You referenced an SFP port. A question here is about asking if it's SFP or SFP plus. So that is about whether or not it supports 1 gig or up to 10 gig on the SFP port.
That's a good question as well. In this case, we have an SFP port, so there is 1 gigabit per second maximum throughput. For above 1 gig, we would recommend to use the 2.5 gig Ethernet port instead. For SFP plus, look at the Vigor 3910 series. Comes with 2 of the interfaces of SFP plus, so 10 gig on each.
Okay, great, thank you. So there's quite a few questions that have been asked in the text. So we've been responding to them now. There might not be the chance to respond to everything during the session, but what we'll do is if you have had a question that you've asked that we've not been able to answer, we will follow up with an email to you with an answer on your technical question. So I think that's a good timing now to wrap up and say thank you very much for attending the webinar today. If you've got any feedback, then do send it across to us. But also, if you've got any questions you want to, then you can email info@draytek.co.uk, and we'll be on hand to answer any questions you've got. But I just wanted to thank Lukasz very much for his presentation today, and thank everyone for attending. I hope you found that useful and informative. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.